Hello and welcome to Common Sense. I'm your host, Kenley Hargett. This show is to help you understand about the events that are going on in your world and how they impact you. Today's top stories are how Uber and Lyft are changing the way college students get around campus. Around 100 Atlanta police officers and 10% of firefighters have left the force. Health news, how taking a daily nap can change the way your high blood pressure is going. And update on the deputy sheriff shooting in Texas. Plus, at the end of the show, we'll remember the 2 fallen journalists that died last week and an update on what's going on in Virginia. Uber and Lyft have changed the way people get around the world. Uber and Lyft are going around colleges now, and many students are using the service to get to school quicker and cheaper. One thing about Uber and Lyft is it's budgeting. Uber and Lyft versus a taxi is completely much cheaper than anything you can imagine. Personally, I took an Uber last week, and I can tell you one thing, I paid half the cost that it costs normally in a taxi. Plus, the service of Uber and Lyft, the chauffeurs, the way they act, the way they carry themselves, seems to be a lot more professional than any other taxi service that I've been in. One thing about college students are they want to save as much money as they can because they don't have any. When I was a college student, I was just trying to get by. But through Uber and Lyft, they provide many services that are much cheaper, which you can go to travel-wise, which can help students go to the grocery store, go to Target, Walmart, and help them save money. Going out of town, many students are using Uber and Lyft so they can go out of town and see their family, see relatives if they're in the city. They can also go out on the town and go to different events, whether they're going to a concert, movie, or whether they're going to a nightclub, anything. And the best part about it is Uber and Lyft help prevent drinking and driving, which is definitely something that people need to stop doing. These services hurt the taxi business, however. Like I said earlier, I prefer to use Uber and Lyft versus a taxi because of the way it goes. Usually when you get into a taxi, people are kind of nasty sometimes. It's not as professional. But one thing about Uber and Lyft is you can rate the person after you have the ride. I've been kind of biased a little bit towards Uber and Lyft than a taxi, but the only real thing I could say a taxi service provides more would be maybe a little more safer. Uber and Lyft, you know who the driver is, you know who you're riding with, but in general, Uber and Lyft still have that kind of nuanced thing where you're trying to still feel if it's still going to happen or if it's still going to go on. And that's one thing about taxi services, however, they're regulated by the city. The city of Atlanta, the city or wherever you live in, those taxis are regulated and different rules apply for only those taxis. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution says almost 100 Atlanta police officers and nearly 10% or 43 Atlanta firefighters have resigned due to pay. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution published an article Sunday that explains public safety workers are feeling neglected when they did not receive a pay raise, which almost 3,000 other Atlanta employees received. Mayor Kasim Reed says that he has done pay raises for public safety workers, but due to them not supporting one of his newest bills, he will not increase their pay. This is something that is significant for our communities throughout Atlanta. Without our public safety workers ready to go, we are in a world of trouble. Firefighters and police officers are one of the most important occupations that you can have in a city. If that does not get resolved and our firefighters and police officers keep resigning, that's going to make our city become a threat, not just for crime, but also in general for fire safety. Finally, taking a daily nap can help lower your blood pressure, but yet this is something that's very difficult for those working a 9 to 5. When you take a nap during the daytime, your boss might not be happy, but in the long run, if you can try to fit that in during your work break, that can significantly lower blood pressure, and scientists at the European Heart Journal say that they have studied nearly 200 men and 186 women with hypertension and found out that a daily nap can significantly lower their hypertension and help them stop taking as many medicines. Coming up next, we have more information on the Texas shooting. The deputy sheriff was shot 15 times, and that's left many questions on why the shooter wanted to kill the sheriff. Also, politics. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are losing steam in Iowa. We give you more information on the people that are trying to stop their presidential run. And finally, journalistic tragedy. We give you more information on the 2 journalists that passed away following the dream that they loved. Coming up next on Common Sense.
You got a king?
Go fish!
In your face, in your face,
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Common Sense. I'm Kenley Hargett. The Texas shooter in Texas is something that many people have been wondering, why in the world are people committing so many gun violence offenses? This shooter shot a deputy sheriff 15 times and still is not given any information of why he wanted to do it. Many people are saying that this is another initiative of the Black Lives Matter movement. Well, here's the thing about the Black Lives Matter movement. As an African-American man who's actually been through police aggression many times, let me tell you, and many people say it's all lives matter. When African Americans say that black lives only matter, they're trying to equate that and try to show people that throughout history, African Americans have been through many trials due to police aggression. It doesn't matter where you're at, where you're from. As an African American, you've probably faced sometimes some kind of police retaliation. But in general, Black Lives Matter does not necessarily mean only black lives. It means any life. That deputy sheriff did not deserve to die. Trayvon Martin did not deserve to die. Freddie Gray did not deserve to die. No one deserves to die due to injustice by anyone, whether it's police or just a layperson on the street. Everyone deserves to live. And this Texas shooter is another example of how many people are trying to stretch and separate and divide us as a people. We need to come together as one and try to stop people from thinking that it is okay to kill someone for any reasons whatsoever. It's not. So let's try to end this whole debate on trying to separate people and try to unify each other. We are all here together as one, and we need to start treating people as one. Other information with this Texas shooter incident has left many questions saying, why would the shooter commit this crime? That shooter, information through NBC News, ABC News, and CBS News have shared that the Texas shooter actually had many mental problems. That shooter had many that have been gone back in time that have shown that he did not have what is capable to really understand the actual effect that he left on the deputy sheriff shooting. This guy is one out of a million that will commit something like this. One thing we need to start looking into is mental health. If we look into mental health and start understanding people better and helping people, this can start to help and stop these gun violence offenses. Next, we have politics. The frontrunners Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are losing steam. Donald Trump is somebody that many people can say is almost making fun of the political process. Donald Trump is gaining steam by going around and saying many rash things that people don't understand. Well, if you can understand this, you can understand that people are looking for someone to lead them more than anything. Donald Trump is serving as a leader, and Hillary Clinton is serving as a leader as well. We know them from the past. But Bernie Sanders and Dr. Ben Carson are gaining steam very fast. As politics go and the presidential candidates begin more and more to share their platforms on different issues, we're going to see a shift in how people are responding to each of these candidates. I don't know whether Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will win the presidency, but I do know for sure American people are looking for someone to lead them and have their ideas. And last, we have the journalistic tragedy that happened last week to two journalists in Virginia that were doing a live show, and all of a sudden a shooter out of nowhere shot and killed them right on live TV. As a journalist, I've been out in the field many times, and I've seen people harass you, say different things to you to try to distract you from doing your story. When those two journalists were out there on the field, they had no clue whatsoever because their focus was so into the story, which is their daily job. As a journalist, to see someone shot and gunned down like that, live on TV, that breaks my heart. And it breaks the heart of America to see that even journalism, one of the truest professions and realest professions you can have, is being diminished by people that feel that lives are not important. That person who killed both of those two young individuals, that's another example of how we as a group and as a people need to stop separating each other and come together as one. And that's Common Sense for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please follow us on Twitter at Common Sense TV or add me on Snapchat at Kenley TV. We appreciate you watching. We hope to see you again. On behalf of everyone at CAU-TV, thank you for watching. Good night.